You for the next 3 hours. We have a lot to talk about on today's show. We will invite you to join us as we talk about those things. You can call or text 865-656-9900. Jason Swain is here today. He's a VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver. I'm Josh Ward. Every day our show is presented by Junk Be Gone. We will talk about the Tennessee basketball game last night. Vols went to Missouri, and it was a close one. Tennessee had a lead during a fair amount of that game. Missouri was able to rally back, and Missouri won 73-69. We'll talk about the game, Tennessee's upcoming game on Saturday against Alabama. We'll talk some football this afternoon. We'll talk to Braden Gall 1 hour from now. He'll join us from over in Nashville. Braden Gall with 440 Sports. And then in 90 minutes at 1:30, we'll talk Tennessee football with Austin Price of VolQuest. And again, we'd love to talk to you. You can call or text 865-656-9900 to be part of the show. Swain, good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm sleepy.
Well, how come?
Because T.O. Barrett. That's why. Season high. 28 points. Didn't take a 3-point shot.
Didn't need to.
67% from the free throw line. 70% from the field. 71% from the field. Versus defense. Defense, that's the number one defense in the league. My man went on a clinic. I mean, good thing he hit his season average. Oh, no, wait. He only averages about 7 or 8 points a game, but he had 28 last night. It reminded me of all the times that players that barely average 5, 6, 7 points a game go for career highs against us. That was the case last night. Just couldn't get it going in the second half. Couldn't make shots. Couldn't get to the free throw line because I guess we thought we were in a 3-point contest. I mean, we put him up there. That's for sure.
Tennessee won the 3-point contest, if that makes you feel better, Swain. Tennessee shot 29% from behind the 3-point line, better than Missouri's 24%.
Well, here's the problem, Josh. Missouri didn't make a 3 in the first half and barely trailed.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like, I don't know, man. It's hard to believe that Missouri's going to go another half and not make a 3-pointer. They are in really good position to come back in this basketball game if they're able to make threes. And in the second half, they made just enough. They made 4 threes. They got to the free throw line 22 times. They made 17. They made more than we attempted. And when we got to the free throw line, don't get me started on that, Josh Ward. When we got to the free throw line, we couldn't make them. 57% on the day. So, I probably would have a lot more energy today, Josh, if Tennessee would have won the game with that game being late. But the fact that we lost and the game was late, I'm a little drained this morning, man. This afternoon. I'm drained. That hurt. I'm not surprised, though. Missouri's a good basketball team, and we know how their players play under Dennis Gates. Man, those dudes play free. They play hard. And Dennis Gates, his guards, man, they've been giving us trouble ever since he's been there in Missouri.
Yeah, we've seen it in other games where Tennessee had a clear rebounding advantage, and it still was close, and we're scratching our heads a little bit. Last night would be one of those games. Tennessee has a clear rebounding advantage, 18 offensive rebounds, 12 more rebounds than Mizzou. But as we've also discussed, you don't get points for rebounds. You get points when you put the ball in the basket. We've talked about Jalen Carey here recently. Did again yesterday. He was great on the glass, but his confidence has to be affected with the way that he's played and trying to make plays around the rim, missed both of his free throws. So Jalen led Tennessee with 10 total rebounds. He had several on the offensive side, but you got to put the ball in the hoop. And if you're going to miss free throws on the road, if you're going to take a bunch of threes and miss a bunch of them, you're going to leave yourself in that kind of position against a quality team. Missouri might have punched its ticket. It did a really good job of trying to last night with a home win against Tennessee. So you can't have those things. We'll hear Rick Barnes talk about it coming up, about turnover issues on the offensive side. That's another thing. You can't make shots if you don't take them, and you're giving the ball up to the other side. 23 points off turnovers for Missouri against Tennessee. That was a point Ron Slay, he was a part of the SEC network coverage, made right after the game when Peter Burns brought up to both Slay, and then you'll hear Patrick Young as well. But what happened with Tennessee here in this game? It's one game. We'll talk about it, and we'll talk about what happens moving forward. But this is what our friend Ron Slay, who was with us yesterday on the Slay Ride, said last night after Tennessee's loss against Missouri.
They went through a stretch where they wasn't able to get stops. They didn't realize exactly who and what they were doing when they're guarding T.O. Barrett. If you go back and look at his game, the majority of his drives were with his right hand. That's his strong hand. Dennis Gates did a great job of clearing out the side. They didn't know if it was a ghost screen by Mitchell or whatever it is, but he drove hard, finished with his right hand, and at that point, it's no more we're calling plays. We're putting the ball in your hands, and you take us home. So salute to him for that. You got to be able to get stops. Yeah, that's what Tennessee
his ability to get to the paint and just, I mean, there were some tough finishes, but it just seemed like he was able to get to the paint off the dribble so easily, which was a little bit surprising how well Tennessee can sit down and guard.
Turnovers bit Tennessee as well.
15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
15 turnovers for Tennessee, 23 points off those turnovers for Missouri. That was a big part in the Tigers being able to come back and win as well.
Yeah, I mean, those guys nailed it. I mean, I do look at the fact that, Felix Ekpar had his most efficient night in SEC play. 15 points, had and one, gets to the free throw line, makes his free throw, was either blocking shots or altering shots, was rebounding. I mean, he was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the only post player that really put the ball in the hoop. Carey, 0 points in 26 minutes. 26 minutes. That's impressive.
Yeah, and often getting an offensive board near the basket and looking the other direction. That's why I have to imagine confidence is affected there offensively. Instead of trying to go up and make a play at the basket, kick it back out to somebody else to see what they can do.
Yeah, 6 offensive rebounds for him. Dwayne Brown, I mean, he had 5 points. 2 turnovers, though. And then, Estrella, he was a game-time decision and only played 6 minutes. But you had 2 out of your 4 post guys didn't score a point. That's tough when you have Nate Ament. He sprains his ankle there in the first. He's not the same player when you come back from that. Didn't have, I'm sure, the same lift on his shot. And then Jacoby, 12 three-point attempts, good looks, just didn't fall. And, just couldn't make as many shots that we're used to seeing Jacoby make. So you got to have other guys step up when your big two is not shooting efficient like they are used to shooting, and the recipe has been for Tennessee when winning games. So it was tough, man. It was tough to see Tennessee defensively have the night that they had, to get carved up by a guy that didn't do that to anyone all season long. That was frustrating.
So it's a loss for Tennessee. Tennessee will turn around and play an important home game on Saturday against Alabama. They are close to one another in NCAA tournament projections right now. There's an update to at least one projection after Tennessee's loss last night. We'll tell you where Tennessee stands based on that one when we come back. We'll invite your calls and texts at 865-656-9900 as Tennessee's 4-game winning streak came to an end last night on the road against Missouri. Tennessee now has the rest of the week to get ready for Alabama at home on Saturday. We'll be with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Join us at 865-656-9900. We are presented by Junk & Begone, East Tennessee's junk removal specialists, right here on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us on 99.1 The Sports Animal and AM 640 The Sports Monster in the Tri-Cities. Thank you for tuning in however you are doing so. You can also find us on the Sports Animal YouTube channel, and the video feed is there in the WNML app. Thanks again for being with us. We had this message sent to us, Swain. Vols are headed to a 6 seed. I'm calling it now. Robert with this message. It won't be fixed. The season is virtually over.
I can't do that, Robert. I can't, man. I can't with you, Robert.
Also, he called Jalen Carey soft, said send him back to Vandy. His offensive game needs to improve, and I would say, hey, they need to figure out a way to get some confidence back and trying to make plays at the basket. But soft is not the word I would use to describe Jalen Carey. He needs to get something going again offensively. He did have 10 rebounds. It was a very physical game, and he had 6 on the offensive side last night.
I would not use soft to describe him. I would use soft to describe some of his offensive
attacks. Okay.
I think he goes up soft. And,
okay.
And they block his shots. He can't finish around the rim, and you don't have to be as tall as a guy that's 2 inches taller than you, but I believe he could jump higher than what he's doing. I believe he has more explosiveness. I just don't think that he's using all of it. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe something's going on, but that's not the Jalen Carey I saw at Vanderbilt. That is not him, which is why I was so excited to get him, and I'm still excited about him. I was watching the game. I could not believe the Jalen Carey I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's an opportunity to start. You're in there. They need you. You get the ball. And here's the thing about post players. They remind me of wide receivers because we got to rely on the quarterback to throw us the football if we're going to get it. Post players, you got to rely on the guards to get you the ball. If they're not getting you the ball, the one way you can go get it is go get an offensive rebound. He had 6 of them and didn't score a point from those 6 offensive rebounds. I'll be dang if I'm playing post and you ain't throwing me the ball on the block and I get 6 offensive rebounds and I'm not going up with it, getting to the free throw line, making them score some points. That's the thing that's frustrating with me because I saw a better Jalen Carey last year. So he's not soft. But I think some of his attacks offensively, some of his approaches offensively, they not the most aggressive.
Yeah, missed both of his free throw attempts. He had 2 last night, went 0 for 2 at the line, and those things just add up to be problematic. Felix Okpara, he was 7 of 7. He was perfect from the field. You mentioned hitting the free throw he attempted on an and one as well, but his last attempt at the basket was with a little more than 14 minutes remaining in the game. So when he was doing that, I thought, oh man, we have another Okpara game we're watching here. He had a big performance a week ago against Oklahoma, right, with 18, I think. And then last night he had 15 with about 15 minutes to go, and that's where he finished.
Yeah, that's the disappointing part. Like losing is one thing, but how you lost is another. But you don't have much time to think about it and complain about it and wallow around in it because Alabama wants to get revenge. Now, we can talk about it. We can talk about it all the way up until tip-off for the Alabama game. But for these guys, they got to make those adjustments. And they had a nice stretch of games, Josh, where we valued the basketball. And it was showing up in the win column. And we got laxed. And we came out. We took the crowd out of the game, which is what you needed to do. And that crowd is never intimidating. But we gave those guys belief. We turned the ball over. They made a run and kept it within 10 and took the lead and never really looked back. And so it's that killer mentality that you fail to show in many first halves after being up by 14, 15, 16, 17 points and then allowing them to come back in the second half. You had an opportunity to go up by 15, 16 points to open the game. And then we start turning the ball over and just never got the same control over the game like we had, in the first 5 minutes.
I also mentioned that message, the season is virtually over. That is not correct. It is one loss. It's a loss on the road, happens every night, essentially, in college basketball, where a team goes on the road, plays a team that's not as good, but at their place, that team's able to get the win. It happened to Tennessee last night. Tennessee could have won the game. Tennessee came up short. We'll see what happens in a few weeks. There is an update, though, from Joe Lunardi's bracketology projections, and Tennessee has fallen 2 spots from where it was at the beginning of the week following last night's loss. Now, 2 spots still on the 5 seed line. Remember, at the start of the week, Joe Lunardi projected Tennessee as the top number 5 seed. Right now, he has Tennessee as the 3rd number 5 seed behind Arkansas and St. John's. St. John's, I believe, has won 13 straight, and then Arkansas has been really good, is, I guess, now ahead of Tennessee in the SEC standings and won head-to-head. So there should be no issue to me with that. But Tennessee did drop a couple of spots. Alabama remains the 4th number 4 seed in his projection, and Bama will host Mississippi State tonight, so a good chance to get a win. That doesn't really improve the resume, just keeps the winning going before the Tide will come to Knoxville this weekend.
Well, you are welcome, Missouri. I know you were on the bubble. You needed a quad 1 win, and you got it from us, so congratulations.
Yeah, hey, against Tennessee at home, they've been good at home. I think Missouri is now 15-2 at home this season, but last night Missouri was able to show the NCAA tournament committee something. So it happened. And
I just can't believe we lost to a team whose fans was wearing antler T-shirts in the stands. They're a little different. They're a little different there, man.
Yeah, the zoo's a little different. Como.
They are a little different.
Yep. We had back-to-back messages, Andrew and Joey, both essentially saying the same thing. A Tennessee opponent having a career night against us is a tale as old as time. T.O. Barrett with a nice showing against the Vols last night. Patrick Young mentioned you're not used to seeing that guards against Tennessee's guards being able to go to the basket at will. When Kentucky rallied against Tennessee earlier this season, Aberdeen was able to do what he wanted to. So it's not that it hasn't happened. It's just surprising when it does, and it happened last night.
Yeah, our guards need to write a letter and apologize to Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Meshack. They need to write sentences like Bart Simpson on the chalkboard. You can't let a guy go for dang near 30 points on you like that. And he's not even making threes. He's driving the ball to the basket. He's posting you up on the block. He's going through your face, putting the ball in the basket. Shooting 70% while doing it. Yo, that's a slap in the face. If you are a guard on this basketball team, you better take it as a challenge, because you think Aiden Holloway is going to slow down? You think Phylon is going to slow down? Man, those guys are probably licking their chops. We had trouble with Phylon in the first one. So that was one of the other most disappointing things, was how our perimeter defense collapsed the way it did.
In the text box from Rob in Kingsport. Rob, we appreciate you. Once again, your, quote, best guard in the country had more shots than points, like in most games this year. Now, Jacoby Gillespie has not had more shots than points scored in most games this year. It has happened in some games. By the way, a reason that I think he rates very highly is not just on the offensive side. Remember, against Oklahoma, he had a Tennessee single-game record of 8 steals. He can make plays on that side. I'm not saying he's the best defender. I'm not saying he's Zakai Ziegler, but he can make plays there. He had 6 steals and a double overtime win against Texas A&M. But yeah, last night was not Jacoby Gillespie's best game. He had a couple of big shots. That one late, it was almost from Knoxville. That was a huge shot, but he was 3 of 12 from behind the three-point line, had 19 points on 21 shots. So nobody is going to say that was Jacoby's best game. He had 6 assists, but he had 3 turnovers. So taking care of the basketball has to be a priority too.
Yeah, I mean, 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio is ideal, but still, you don't want to have those turnovers. And he did get you 2 steals and a block. So, 4 rebounds, on the day. Jacoby Gillespie, I thought, played well enough for Tennessee to win. He didn't have the help that he needed. Again, this is not Gillespie's best performance. He could have played better, but you need other guys to step up. Jalen Carey played 26 minutes and didn't score a point. That can't happen. That can't happen at all.
Chip said, if our two best players don't score a combined 40 or more, this team loses. On some nights, yeah, that will be the case. Now, on Saturday, Nate and Jacoby scored a combined 30 points, and Tennessee won at Vanderbilt.
Stop doing that, Josh.
What did I do?
Stop dropping facts like that.
Oh, I apologize.
Just let people have their takes, okay? Such a party pooper.
Okay. I'm going to take a sip of coffee if that's okay.
Why would you need coffee?
Well, by the way, would you like to confirm to the audience who was awake during the second half and at the end of last night's basketball game? I'm not trying to take a victory lap here over staying awake, but I was challenged at the end of yesterday's show, and I feel like at the start of today's show, there should be some acknowledgement.
Yeah. I think so. So I text Ward at 10:14 and told him to wake up. And he replied at 10:15. So that means he was awake.
I was awake, yep.
Yep, he was awake. So I give you credit. I mean,
Thank you.
You actually listened and watched Ron Slay after the game.
I did. Yep.
When Gillespie turned the ball over, I unplugged the TV. I ain't turn it off. I unplugged the TV.
You want to accidentally turn it back on?
Nope. You know, those Roku buttons, man, they're a little loose. Sometimes you can hit the button and not know it and cut it back on. I didn't want that to happen. I wanted the TV off. So I unplugged the TV. So, Slay, my man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I need a rest.
Yeah, I had Ron's back.
Everybody got their back.
Everybody's got their back. Not sure still what that means, but we will come back and we'll continue to invite your thoughts. What do you make of last night? What do you think moving forward? Tennessee against Alabama on Saturday, road trip to South Carolina, and then a home game in the regular season finale against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, by the way, speaking of the projections, Vanderbilt is one spot behind Tennessee in Joe Lunardi's bracketology. So Tennessee, the third number 5 seed in his update today. Vanderbilt, the fourth number 5 seed. Alabama, the fourth number 4 seed. We come back and invite you to be part of the show at 865-656-9900. Thanks for being with us on Josh and Swain. Back on Josh and Swain. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for the interaction. We appreciate the messages that continue to roll in and continue to invite them. 865-656-9900. Chip said the only reason that Josh stayed up was because I was challenged. Wouldn't have done that on my own, perhaps, but I was challenged and I did stay up. Is it pathetic that I'm bragging about that today? Also, yes.
Yeah, you sound like that 7-year-old. I stayed up late. I stayed up at 11 o'clock on a school night. You sound pretty young. I'm proud of myself too, Josh, because I took some medicine that's supposed to knock you out. Some PM medicine. I took it around. Actually, I took it at the start of the game. And my daughter was like, "Don't take it. You're not gonna last." And I did it.
Yeah, you told me that. I told you that I made some tea. I made some tea last night, and that helped me get through, by the way. And you took some PM medicine. What's Swain doing? But up you were. Hey, grind through. That's the difference between you and me. I needed tea to get myself up. You were able to take the PM medicine and make it through. That's why you were the number 21 overall recruit in the 2003 recruiting class, and I was not.
It was a challenge. I needed to challenge myself. It was like going into a swamp and coming out with a win. Going to Bryant Denny and coming out with a win. I needed a challenge, man. And boy, it was a challenge. That's for sure. Yeah,
John Henderson, he'd have somebody slap him around. Somebody would do it for him. You did it to yourself.
Yeah, I did.
And came out better on the other side.
You're right, I did that.
Now, Tyler texted in and said, Tennessee will get bounced in the second round. Another text says what the texter meant to say, referring to, hey, the season's virtually over, is we can see the writing on the wall with this team. The 3rd, 5th seed is a terrible spot to be in. I can see a first-round exit for sure.
We do this every year, y'all.
Yeah.
Every year we say the same stuff. And I'm only saying we because I'm part of the fan base, because I don't say stuff like this, but I hear it all the time. Like this team won, 8 games out of his last 9 games.
That's right.
Went on this crazy, run, and had a stinker last night versus Missouri. And now we're talking about this team losing in the first round or losing in the second round. We do this all the time. We've done it for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And then they go to the Elite Eight. So we don't know. We don't know what this team is going to do because we don't know who they're going to be matched up against. That's what determines whether or not a team will advance. Yes, it's how they're playing, but it's also about the matchups too. The matchups matter.
Yeah, I can easily figure out a path to getting bounced in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament. I also can pretty easily put together a path to the Elite Eight for this team. We've seen them play really well.
We don't know.
And think what they're capable of when they play really well. We saw last night what they're capable of against what would be a 11, 12 seed type team, and they lost because of it.
We don't know. We don't know. Because this team,
that's both the excitement and the madness of this time of year in the sport.
I see what you did there. But yeah, we just don't know, man. I mean, there's going to be different conditions, different opponent, different matchups. You're not going to play at someone else's house. It's going to be a neutral site. You're going to have your fans there. You're going to have the other team's fans there. It's going to be 50-50 in most cases, in some cases. So you just don't know. We're disappointed in how the team played last night. They really let us down. I think we can all agree. They let us down. They ruined a good 2 hours of sleep. That's what they did. I mean, completely ruined it.
Yeah.
But we don't have to go overboard here. Because we just don't know. When this team got the brakes beat off of them against Mississippi State, first round of the SEC tournament, where you just knew, okay, this team's ready to go. This team's going to come out and fight. And, man, this is the start of a run. And we got blasted. Josh, I was so defeated. We did a show at Harper Volkswagen. I was so disgusted. That team still went to the Elite Eight, and was one superstar away. Not saying Dalton is not a superstar, but saying Zach Edey was a superstar that we had to go up against, player of the year, dominant force. He was in our way of going to a Final Four. And they play like trash right before the NCAA tournament. So the answer is you just don't know. And sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay. It's all good. Because you can't predict the future. And you don't know the matchups.
Lance, who has some nerve, texted in, Barnes' early exit is as predictable as Bearden beating Farragut. I might challenge a couple of those points.
Are we talking about the chess club, or we're talking like basketball, football, or I know we ain't talking about baseball.
Bearden's more stocked in the checkers department, but I'm kidding. The last 3 seasons, Swain, Sweet 16, Elite 8 for Tennessee. I don't know what the numbers are, but I have to imagine 8 NCAA tournament wins in the last 3 seasons has to ring very high among college basketball teams.
Yeah.
So, again, could they get knocked out in the first weekend? Of course. But I don't think that early exits are quite as predictable, considering we saw Tennessee get within a game of the Final Four each of the last 2 seasons and make it out of the first weekend each of the last 3.
Yeah. How about we wait and let it happen? Because the last 3 years, it has not happened. In the last 3 years, we've said the same thing during a disappointing loss in the regular season. We said, oh, man, this team ain't going to make it out the first round. Oh, this team ain't going to make it out the first weekend. Oh, yeah. Another disappointing early exit for Rick Barnes. Wait a minute. The facts do not say that. The facts say the last 3 years have been really successful for Rick Barnes. It's the fact that he hasn't been to a Final Four or back to the Final Four since 2003. So anything less than that for him is now considered a failure. And that's unfair.
I also saw this yesterday. It was very timely. It was a post on social media that said this, Swain, life is too short and beautiful to be living in the Eastern time zone. I felt that one last night. I'm of the opinion Central Time is the GOAT time zone. And there are challenges, especially as a sports fan, a sports viewer, with the Eastern time zone. But we have to suck it up. Here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad back in the day living in Alabama. Had the Central Time Zone.
Yeah, but, a lot of times life is about trade-offs. You got a better time to work with, time zone to work with in Alabama, but some obvious disadvantages that would come with that as well.
Well, correct. Well, it's good to have running water here in Tennessee, Josh. Just joking.
Air quality's up.
Just joking.
Less infectious diseases is good. We are kidding. We are having some fun this afternoon. Mike texted, I'm not complaining. I remember the years watching on Selection Sunday, just hoping we make the tournament. Right now, the conversation is about Tennessee trying to rise back up from its positioning, currently slotted as a projected 5 seed with games against Bama at home, Vanderbilt at home, and South Carolina on the road in between. Thank you for being with us. We'll talk some football with Braden Gall in about 15 minutes. He'll join us to start the 1 o'clock hour. Same with Austin Price in 45 minutes. We'll talk Tennessee football with him at 1:30 and continue to invite you to join us at 865-656-9900 with Jason Swain, a VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver. I'm Josh Ward. We're presented by Junk Be Gone, and we thank you for being with us on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain, our final segment of hour number one. Braden Gall talking college football in 10 minutes, maybe some combine thoughts as well. No 440 Sports has been covering the NFL combine. So Braden Gall, 10 minutes from now, 865-656-9900. So some frustration coming out. That's understandable, certainly expected. We've seen it at this point, Swain, as you mentioned, this time of year, lose a game, fear can set back in. But we're starting to see some pushback of positivity. As Tim texted, I think certain players struggle with motivation at times. It's a long season. We'll be ready for the Final Four. GBO.
I'm talking about the SEC tournament?
Maybe. Tennessee's still in good position, by the way, for SEC tournament seeding. We also got a message, though, that said, I would much rather get bounced early in the SEC tournament than the NCAA tournament, and I'm sure there's going to be universal agreement on that one.
1,000%. So my point is not which one you would rather be bounced out of first. My point was we've seen this team, this program play a game at this stage of the season, whether it was in the regular season or in the SEC tournament, and then make a run in the tournament. Tennessee lost to a Missouri team that needed some hero performances, and Tennessee had one of their worst shooting nights and still had a chance to win. Tennessee didn't even show up versus Mississippi State and still made a run after that. So I'm just saying, keep things in perspective. It's not the end of the world. It is disappointing. They did cost us 2 hours of sleep for that loss. Hopefully we'll get it back at some point during the week. But that doesn't mean that they'll lose in the first weekend or the first round. There's a team right now that's ranked ahead of Tennessee that will be going home in the first round. That's playing better than Tennessee that will probably be going home in the first round. So you just don't know.
Current number one seeds based on Lenardi's projections at ESPN, Duke, Michigan, Arizona, and UConn. I mentioned earlier St. John's is one spot ahead of Tennessee on the number 5 seed line. St. John's will play at UConn tonight. Huge game between Dan Hurley's team and Rick Pitino's team.
Man, I
want
to say I watched the game, the first matchup. I mean, it was a heavyweight bout. My goodness, throwing haymakers. So that's going to be a good one today. We've been blessed this basketball season. I mean,
yes,
truly blessed.
Yep. Yeah, St. John's beat UConn back on February 6th, 81-72.
Yeah.
St. John's has not lost since January 3rd. They're playing good basketball.
They are. If they lose, hopefully St.
That'll
John's
probably
fans won't be talking about them getting bounced in the first round.
Hey, they had a great season last year. You know what happened? They lost in the first weekend to John Calipari's team that did not have a good season up to that point. That's how it works in this sport. But Rick Barnes knows that. His team knows that. They have 3 days to work on what happened last night to get ready for this Saturday against Alabama. That's going to be a very big game for both teams, for Tennessee looking to bounce back from last night's loss. We'll have 2 more hours to talk about what happened last night, what happens coming up, and talk some football, which we will do with Braden Gall of 440 Sports when we begin hour number 2 of today's show. He'll join us when we come back. Our show is presented by Junk Be Gone on Josh and Swain.
the right guy, and the right guy elevates himself in the course of a battle, which I think, frankly, I know players use the iron sharpens iron kind of cliche way too much, but like the reason we have primaries and elections is that it makes people better, and the quarterback battle should make candidates better, and the better players should elevate themselves and make it clear that they're the best player. And so if that happens, I think then you can start to look at, okay, well, this is a good program. This is a playoff caliber program. Do they have all the pieces that allows them to kind of take a step back up into that ranking from 2 years ago versus where they were last year? So I know that's sort of a weird, vague way to put it, but my instinct when I saw that was like, all right, it's a little bit more of a clean slate, not just at that position, but kind of more across the board. And and then this organization can kind of reset itself and get back after it. But it feels like, all right, there's no Nico drama. Those years and those teams and even some of the coaches have moved on. Let's start fresh. And I think that's sort of how I view the team. It's like, all right, let's see what you guys got this year.
Yeah, what do you think is on whichever quarterback ends up winning this battle in terms of what they're going to ask of, let's say, George, if he went the battle? What's asked of George? Sure. How much pressure is on him versus what you look at around the quarterback to help Tennessee succeed this fall?
Yeah, I'm certainly of two minds on that when it comes to a first-year new starting quarterback for any team. Like, we demand, and sometimes the contracts demand, inexperienced or the Bryce Underwood story from last year, like at Michigan, and I think you're going to see some of those guys, Jared Curtis at Vanderbilt this year. We expect someone to be productive and starting and a factor on our teams sooner and faster than ever before. And I hate to break it to you, but human beings haven't changed being when they get good at football. It still takes time and experience. I think if Jared Curtis starts the entire year for Vanderbilt, I think they're going to have some trouble. He's got a lot of progress he needs to make as far as reading defenses, for example. So I just think that's one side. The other mind is I feel like I'm more of an old school, middle-aged dad college football fan. He's like, no, you need a year to learn in the system and grow and develop and make mistakes and then get better. But the contract demands that a player like Bryce Underwood has to play right away. And so that's not necessarily the same dynamic here. Number one recruit in the nation who decommitted from a former school, and it's not the exact same arrangement. But I do think that the contracts and the money demand productivity right away, whereas common sense kind of says, let's see what happens. And so that, to me, and this is in my mind. So I heard Robert Saleh say it about Cam Ward and the Titans. We need to build a team that doesn't demand that Cam Ward have to be Superman for 60 plays a game. I think that's the right approach when you go hire Jim Knowles. I think Josh Heupel needs to adjust his offense to some degree, and I might not be smart enough to use the right language, but there needs to be more layers, more it can't just be a running play or a deep shot. There needs to be more disguise, more check downs. A quarterback has to have more freedom to kind of evolve the offense at the line of scrimmage. The quarterback has to earn that right, of course. But I just think that there's everyone sort of has to contribute to this. And so I think it's crazy to be like, nope, you've never started for this team or this organization. We have a totally new set of, our secondary's new, our defensive coordinator's new, we got new this, new that, and go be a playoff team. I just don't think that's it almost feels unfair to some degree. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just feels like that's to make that your benchmark and to your expectation as a fan feels a little unfair.
With Tennessee playing young quarterback this year, it still feels like there's a good chance that the quarterback can be successful because of the offense. And on one hand, the offense has been criticized. That's that narrative out there about not having guys prepared for the NFL. On the other hand, it's actually good because you can have a quarterback-friendly system that allows for a first-time starting quarterback to maybe have some success and not have that pressure on him. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Number one, my first thought is it's not Josh Heupel's job to prepare people for the NFL. not directly. You know what I mean? And I'm not even saying you're saying that. I'm just saying if your complaint, if you look at a former Tennessee receiver and not doing well in the NFL as some sort of indictment on the work they did in college, I feel like those are two separate things. Just as a person, that's how I view it. You can be a truly great college football player, be maximized, and just not be good enough to be a great NFL player. And it doesn't diminish your accomplishments in college, in my opinion. I think people do that in the media. Fans do this, like, oh, look at him, he was terrible. Like, look at him, he's a bust. You can't, like, who cares? Was he great in college? Was he great for your team? Was he great for your rival's team? Like, that's what matters. I do think the floor for like statistical production is higher for a Josh Heupel quarterback. I mean, I think that's kind of what we're talking about here. Like, if we're talking about 3,800 yards and 20 touchdowns, like, 8 wins, like, I think the floor is high because Heupel's offense is always going to be relatively productive, even with new pieces, inexperience, etc. So I think, like, to some degree, it's, again, two answers. It's, yes, you should be productive in this at the same time, but that's the goal. And so the question is, like, what kind of pieces do you have around him? I think, could the offensive line be better than we've seen in the past? Maybe. There's some really talented pieces there. So could the defensive line be better than we've seen in the past? Maybe. There's some talented pieces there. So I think a lot of it is, there's a base level of production to expect out of a Heupel offense, and maybe that's a little unfair, but that's sort of the brand he's built and the job he's done. At the same time, if the rest of it is correct, and this I would actually say, like, Heupel needs to, again, there needs to be some tweaks, some wrinkles, some changes, some evolution in the offense, and the defense is better because of the coaching staff and the portal players and et cetera. You can see a very successful season. I just think expecting 10-2 and getting into the playoff is, while that can be your expectation kind of overarchingly at all times, I do think you have to drill down on a particular roster with a particular schedule and say, what do we think? The problem is we don't know who's going to be good. Like, Trinidad Chambliss could be the best quarterback in America, and he wasn't a starting quarterback for the first 3 weeks of the season last year. Lane Kiffin didn't know that he had that on his roster. Otherwise, he would have started in week 1. So it's still a crazy game with humans making mistakes and being imperfect.
Braden Gall, 440 Sports. So our focus right now on the college side, I know you've spent some time talking about the combine going on in Indianapolis. What interests you, either from the Titans' perspective or just zooming out, looking at the NFL Draft Combine, which has started up?
Yeah, I think they've got to come up with some answers to some important questions. Like, I love David Bailey out of Texas Tech. I love Ruben Bain out of Miami. I think Arvell Reese is super talented. They're going to be looking at an edge player prominently. They've got to have those three prioritized in their minds. Like, the tape study, the scouting, that's in the barn. That's been in the barn for weeks and weeks and weeks. This week is about, like, how much do you love the game? Where are you at mentally? What's your focus like? What are your organizational skills like? How much do you want to be a professional? Like, all these other things that go into, like, a job interview are, and for a player like Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, or even Jerron McCoy, it's about the medicals trying to be as clear or as clean or as accurate as possible. So those are the things you're trying to figure out. I think McCoy is very, very much a target for the Titans if they move back. I think Tyson is the target, could be the best receiver in the class if they stay at 4, those 3 edge rushers I mentioned. So I think you got to figure out kind of like, I mean, there's a story about, the Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf story where, Peyton walks into his interviews with like a 3-inch 3-ring binder with the entire plan for 10 years of success. And Ryan Leaf walks in cargo shorts and flip flops. And, like, everyone's like, oh, wait a second, So I think there's some of that has to happen this week. Like, you're not going to learn more about Ruben Bain's arms and, like, can he be a 3-down outside pass rusher? Like, the tapes has to teach you that. The scouting has to teach you that. This week it's about how much do you want to be a pro? How much do you love this stuff? What gets you up in the morning? All those things that are really hard to learn about people, especially young people. And so that's what and the medical stuff. So they've got to figure that out. They got to prioritize the receivers. They've got to prioritize the edge rushers. They need to answer some questions around some other key pieces, players in the draft, like a McCoy that has unbelievable upside, could be the best corner, but haven't seen him play football in like 16 months or whatever the number is. Like, you got to answer some of those questions this week. And going to the combine is a young man's game, boys. It's late nights and lots of booze. Like, I'm not there this week. I couldn't handle it. I got to stay here. So
You're still young, Braden.
You got it, man.
Youth. Look, age is a number. Youth is a state of mind. And I will say, my daughters got to escort Nashville SC out onto the field last night. Like, their 2 club teams got to be the kids
cool.
that were walking the players out. And they were they come off the field and running back into our section, and they are just they are at an 11. Like, they're so amped. And I will say that did make me feel young. I felt so young watching them do that last night. Also, the reason I'm not at the combine, because I was going to miss that. And that'll make you feel young. And then I went and worked out today, and I immediately felt old again. So.
Yeah, there are reminders. We here in Eastern Time Zone, we got that with Tennessee's late basketball game last night against Missouri. You at least get to enjoy the Central Time to help lengthen your youth
Are
for
you
as long as
complaining
possible.
about going to bed a little too late? Are you saying you have to stay up past your bedtime, Josh? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. We have a policy about not complaining, but I am stating as fact that I stayed up past my bedtime, and it is affecting how I feel today. So I do want that on record
So
as well.
got it. Not complaining about it.
Yeah.
But just making sure everyone knows the facts of your life.
Yeah, but it appears based on how you reacted, I do have a right to not be happy about it. But we do march on.
Yeah.
What's going on? Just mentioned part of it, some combine coverage, but what's happening with 440 Sports right now?
Yeah, lots of combine coverage. We've got 3 reporters up there, so we're going to do lots of content. We've already had a couple shows. We've got one coming up this afternoon with Paul Kaharski and Nick Suss of the Tennessean. We've got the Hot Read podcast with James Foster, who's a brilliant scout. So we're going to dive into a lot of stuff from the combine this week on the 440 Sports YouTube page. Obviously, hockey is back in action today. One of the most magical and memorable weekends of sports that I can ever think of as a United States, athlete fan, Olympic fan, whatever. So that's a big part of our hockey coverage for the Gold Standard, which you can catch on the 440 Sports YouTube page. Obviously, they have about 10 days to make a ton of decisions before the trade deadline. So really huge time right now for hockey fans. Going to be a lot of injuries in the NHL, I think, coming out of the Olympics. So really interesting time to get games back going again. So we got you covered there. Nashville SC, as I mentioned, up and running. Check out the Club and Country podcast. We've got coverage of Nashville SC. They look to be one of the best teams in the MLS. Got the Preds trade deadline. We got the Titans combine. We got everything you need covering Middle Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee sports. So please check us out. 440 Sports, 440 podcast app of choice, YouTube, socials. Come give us a follow. We would appreciate it.
On 440 Sports, Braden, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Braden. Braden Gall joining us, 440 Sports on the Stanley Fencing and Gates Hotline. We will come back. Swain, we have another quarterback suing the NCAA.
Oh,
we will update you there.
He might have a good case.
865-656-9900. We'll update you. We'll talk Tennessee football with Austin Price at 1:30. We'll be here until 3 on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us. 865-656-9900 to be part of the show. Austin Price coming up at the start of next segment here until 3 o'clock. Swain saw news yesterday afternoon that Chandler Morris, son of Chad Morris, he has quarterbacked Virginia the last couple of seasons. He has been in college since the 2020 season. He has filed suit against the NCAA, seeking a 7th year of eligibility. He had requested waivers to be able to play through the NCAA. They denied his request, so he is suing the NCAA for a 7th season of eligibility. If I'm understanding his complaint and his request correctly, he is seeking a medical red shirt from the 2022 season. He began that season as the starter at TCU, was injured in the first game of the season. Max Dugan took over, and you remember Max had a terrific season, helped him get to the title game. And Chandler, when he returned from injury, served as the backup. So he did not suffer a season-ending injury. He suffered an injury at the start of the season, and once he was healthy and able to North Texas and Virginia each of the last couple of seasons. So Chandler Morris now seeking a 7th season of eligibility.
That's a lot, Josh.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
He might have to get a job.
I'm sorry that he suffered the injury that he did in 2022, and I'm sorry that cost him an opportunity to start most of that season. It's football. Players get hurt.
Sports.
He already took a red shirt in 2021. The rule's pretty clear. You get 5 years to play 4. Because he happened to arrive in college in 2020, the COVID season, which eligibility didn't count, he ended up getting a 6th season. So in any other previous time, he wouldn't have even had this past season to play. So I'm sorry that happened 4 years ago, but it's time to move on.
Why didn't he try to get an extra year before this year or before right now?
Well, I'm not 100% sure on timing of previous medical requests. I don't know entirely. But I know that he was trying after this past season, and he was denied. Virginia back in December tried on his behalf to get one more season.
Yeah.
It's just that, again, he suffered an injury in 2022. It was not a season-ending injury.
No, it just was out for a little bit, and came back.
He came back, and he was the backup to a better quarterback, I would say. So again, it's unfortunate that it happened, but this isn't. He didn't tear his ACL in week 1, and that was it for the year. He suffered an injury, a hand or thumb injury, I believe, and when he came back, his job belonged to somebody else. So it's unfortunate, but he got to play 6 seasons of college football, so it's not like he lost all this time in the sport. There are many cases of players losing more time than Chandler Morris here.
Well, he wants another year because he wants another year of money. I mean, that's
yeah. And I'm not totally sure what his NIL opportunity is because remember Virginia brought in 2 transfer quarterbacks, one from Pitt and one from Missouri. So I'm not totally sure on what his playing opportunity is. He would have a chance to beat them out, I'm sure, if he were playing at Virginia, but I'm a little confused on that. So something to pay attention to, but it's the latest quarterback lawsuit. Chandler Morris trying to get a 7th season to play college football, and all previous seasons have been at the FBS level. We'll get back to Tennessee football. We'll get back to young quarterbacks. Faison Brandon versus George McIntyre. We'll see what Austin Price of VolQuest thinks coming up next. He joins us thanks to Colossal Productions here on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us. We are halfway home. 90 minutes to go on today's show. Every day presented by Junk Beyond. And this segment, each Wednesday, we get a chance to talk to Austin Price of AllQuest. He joins us here. This segment is presented by Colossal Productions, with what they can do for you with your special events. They can help you stand out. They can help your event stand out with their massive mobile LED screens and audio system. They can bring them to your location, to your event, to your party. Go to colossalproductions.com to see what we're talking about and see how they can help your next event. colossalproductions.com. Austin, thank you for the time. As always, we've gone back and forth on the quarterback position and where the storyline was. Now we know it's back to the young quarterbacks. What have you thought of the last few days with the ruling last Friday from Judge Haggerty that denied the injunction for Joey Aguilar, and now the attention back to George McIntyre and Faison Brandon?
Yeah, clearly Judge Haggerty did not feel like, Joey's legal team was able to answer the questions that he had. Going to be interesting to kind of see, how Joey handles himself at the NFL Combine. Obviously, I think he's turned the page and is headed off, even though he has 20-ish days to, appeal it. So it's back to the young guys, and it's back to George McIntyre, and it's back to what I call weight watch for George, and then, Faison, how quickly can he pick it up mentally? A good old-fashioned quarterback competition, one that we've not had around here in a while, and kind of will bring you back to when Swain played with, Brent Schaefer and Eric Ainge, a couple of young quarterbacks battling it out spring and fall camp.
Confirm or deny, George McIntyre was celebrating the ruling from the judge.
I don't think any quarterback that's currently on campus was broken up by the news that this would be a quarterback competition, which it would not have been had Joey Aguilar won the injunction. So, all those players want a chance to compete and have a chance to be the guy, and now it'll be up to them to go out there and earn it.
Austin, what do you like about George McIntyre starting there, entering the battle this spring? What are some questions you still have about George McIntyre as he tries to win the job?
Obviously, George has got to continue to put weight on. It doesn't mean he can't play the position at his current weight. Marcel Reed was a little over 180 pounds last year. It's not like Trinidad Chambliss was a big guy, around 200 pounds. But at 6'6", George needs to put on more weight just so he can handle the pounding that is the SEC. I think mentally he grasps it at a really nice clip, and I think that part of it is something that we were asked on our podcast for tomorrow that we've already taped, like, where would you compare Nico going into his redshirt freshman year to George? And I said George is every bit as good mentally as Nico was, maybe a little bit better. But the big difference is, Nico took a huge jump from being that skinny kid that played against Iowa in the, Cheese at Citrus Bowl into that first game, that following August. So what can George do physically to continue to improve? He's right around 200 pounds right now. He's just a couple of cheeses shy of 200 pounds. And earlier this week, I think he was 198.5. And I'm sure they'd like to have him 210, by sometime in spring, and then try to continue to build him up from there.
Your conversation with new safeties coach Anthony Poindexter, what stood out to you the most? What impressed you most about what you learned about him?
He's just a real guy, and I think for him, his ability to transform himself as a coach, learn things over his 25 plus years of coaching college football is something that's helped him be able to relate to kids. Doesn't matter whether you were here last year, whether you weren't here last year. Best players are going to play. And if that means that it's a transfer in that you thought was going to be the starter and he's not good enough, he ain't going to just start because he's coming out of the portal. Like, you're going to play the best players. And, I think, for Coach Poindexter, he's a guy that commands the room, but he also, because he's been there, done that as a player, 2-time All-American, so on and so forth, is someone that the players can relate to, and I think just gets the big picture of it all.
Austin Price is with us from VolQuest, thanks to Colossal Productions. What do you think the conversation will be like, the competition on the field will be like this spring and into the fall in the secondary with the changes personnel-wise, coaching and players?
I think the secondary will be interesting to watch. Obviously you got some guys that have played here. Farouk played here, at safety a year ago. You like what you have returning at corner, just based off how he played for basically the entire season this past fall. But you do have some nice transfers coming in, like Kay and Lee. Be interested to see how quickly TJ Metcalf adapts and picks it all up. DeJuan Lane's been in the system. Quay Moss, the young man from Kansas State, is someone who I think, because he was the first one in, the first one committed, I think people forget about him. And so I think he's someone that I think can help the secondary out a lot. It's one of the positions, probably there in defensive line is where my eyes will be this spring. And then on offense, it'd probably be tight end, just to see how Deshaun Brame does in his elevated role. But, the secondary is a prime spot to have your eyeballs this spring.
Which guy you think needs to have a great NFL combine the most out of the players who are going for Tennessee?
Needs it? I would probably tell you Kitzelman, just because, he stayed banged up last year and, probably did not have the year he had hoped to have. Obviously, Joey can't go through it physically, but he'll be able to meet with teams and mentally show what he has. Jermod McCoy, obviously, having not played at all this past fall, needs to be able to show he's healthy and all that. I think that's important. I don't think it's as important for Colton Hood. The guy that I've said the last week or so that I thought the most potential buzz would be around leaving there would be Bryson Easton. Bryson's an athletic, twitchy defensive tackle that, Rodney Gardner's always been super high on. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if there's a little bit of juice around him leaving the combine.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com. David Gabriel Georges, latest update there. Your thoughts on him, running back? I know Steve Wiltfong wrote favorably about where Ohio State stands. Also noted that Tennessee is pushing aggressively. I'm paraphrasing. But what do you think? What do you hear the latest with David Gabriel Georges from Baylor?
Yeah, that's kind of been Steve's update the last, couple of months. Not a whole lot's changed because David's not doing a lot of talking, right? He's kind of laying low, and I continue to maintain I think Tennessee's in the best spot, and I will I'll stay in that lane as of right now as we head into the spring. To me, it's always been a two-team race. It'll be a two-team race. I just don't see another team entering this race. Maybe I'll be wrong, and all of a sudden here comes another school that factors. But it just feels like it's a two-team race. Again, I've liked where Tennessee's at there. Again, I think Tennessee's done a really nice job. They've done as well as they possibly could do to this point.
I like it.
Yeah, Tennessee fans will like hearing that as well. So it's a very important race for Tennessee, one of the top players in the country down there at Baylor. Hey, before you go, speaking of races, the quarterback battle that will take on that will really take off here this spring. One, we get this question a lot. I'm sure you do as well. Is it a 3-man battle? Is it a 2-man battle? Swain and I have said it's Faison and George. Are we wrong there? And then what do you think about Faison? He's new. He's just been on campus for a few weeks. What should fans know about a highly touted quarterback who's new to campus in Faison Brandon? A
guy that wins, physically is ahead of where George is just because he's a bigger kid. He's 220 pounds. But, he doesn't have time on task that George does. George has been the system for the year. Now, when you think about, reps with the first team, they've got the same amount, 0. But, again, George mentally has been in the system, understands what Joey Halsley is looking for, what Josh Heupel's looking for, has been through the practices, will have the leg up there. And so he's got to take advantage of that this spring. If you leave spring and you deep down as the coaching staff think things are really even, then that sets up well for Faison because he's only going to get better. George should, they're always going to say it's totally even and all that, but what are they saying behind the scenes, right? And like if they truly leave spring feeling like, things are pretty even, I think that sets up well for Faison because ultimately, in my mind, behind the scenes, George should have a little bit of a leg up exiting spring because he's been here.
Yep, that makes sense. And Ryan Staub, the third quarterback, correct me if I'm wrong, depth piece, veteran depth with two young quarterbacks in the room.
You guys hit the nail on the head. It's a two-team race. Two-man battle, in my opinion. Staub obviously would like to perform well and enter that mix. But listen, at the end of the day, the NIL money is in a certain spot. I mean, they're not going to play kids because of that. But like Staub was at Colorado, didn't do anything outside of a couple of broken plays that were kind of nice improv plays that made you go, oh wow, that I can definitely be the quarterback. And at the end of the day, size matters, right? I mean, Georgia's 6'6", Faison 6'4"-ish. Both are good sized kids. Staub is like 5'11". Like he's a smaller type quarterback. He might say 6 foot on whatever UTSports.com or whatever, but I've seen the kid, I've met the kid. I mean, like I think again he would be the I wouldn't call him dark horse. It would be an upset if he won Tennessee's starting quarterback job.
VolQuest.com, they're covering what's happening with Tennessee football, recruiting, basketball, baseball underway. VolQuest.com to keep up with all the coverage there. He joins us each week thanks to Colossal Productions. Austin, thank you for the time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Austin Price joins us, as I mentioned, thanks to Colossal Productions. If you go to colossalproductions.com, you can see the massive mobile LED screens we tell you about. You can see how they can help you in your next company event, special occasion that you're planning, party you're putting together. If you're ever putting together a watch party, a gaming party, colossalproductions.com. Great local team to set you up, colossalproductions.com. Final segment of hour number 2 coming up. We're with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon on Josh and Swain.
Yes. Back for the final segment of hour number 2. Come on, Josh.
We got to mute here. There we go.
Nope.
Finally trying to get it figured out. Hey.
I mean, you only been doing radio 20 plus years.
Yeah, we're hitting 25 this year. 9 p.m. tip-off last night. It all comes back to that.
Well, I mean, it's not 25 years. I mean, so if it was 25 years, I would understand. I wouldn't understand, but
yeah, not quite.
Yeah, but you're right. It was a late tip-off. I blame the basketball team because if they would have won, it would have been worth staying up that late.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or if they had extended that 10-point lead to 25-point lead, could have gone to bed, and I've been like you, ripping the power cord out after a late turnover. But hey, that was yesterday. Today is today.
Today is today, and Saturday is Saturday with a chance to beat Bama at home.
That's right. Yep, a chance to sweep Alabama and extend a winning streak that now spans a few seasons. So the opportunity is still ahead there for Tennessee. There are things to get cleaned up. There are reminders from last night's game. As Rick Barnes had mentioned, we'll hear from him a little bit later, but some of the mistakes last night are mistakes they were making a couple of months ago. That happens. You have these kinds of performances that are no good, but it hurt Tennessee a little bit. It's more of probably an opportunity cost than major damage because of what Tennessee has next. A win against Alabama, another win against Vanderbilt next Saturday could help boost Tennessee with its tournament resume. But Missouri's a quality team. It's a tournament level team. Winning on the road against Mizzou would have helped last night. So clean up, address some of the issues, avoid turnovers, take better shots, and you'll be better in some of those games moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Missouri was a desperate team. I mean, they were a team that was on the line of not making the NCAA tournament. I think Mizzou played like that in the second half. I think Tennessee played like a team that knew they were going to get into the tournament, that knew eventually they would cut it on, eventually they would make shots, eventually they would win. And Missouri was a team that was possessed and knew they needed to take advantage of an opportunity to beat a quad one opponent in Tennessee and play like it. I mean, their guard play like it. Mark Mitchell was fabulous. I mean, the guys who didn't make shots in the first half started to make some in the second half and played better. So it was a tough one to witness for Tennessee fans, and you needed to get that one because Vanderbilt's going to be tough. Alabama's going to be tough. But hey, Tennessee beat them once; they can beat them twice.
We will hear from Barnes at the start of the next hour. We'll talk more Tennessee basketball, more football as well over the next hour. Swain, we're going to let you hop off here as we found out late last week the tragic passing of Wes Rucker. His service is taking place this afternoon. They're having a service for family and close friends. You are absolutely among them, so you're going to hop off for this final hour to get ready to go over there. To close out this hour and before you go, the tremendous support for the GoFundMe has been reassuring. When we think about all the negativity that we can find in the world, we hand out attaboys and attagirls every day because we're looking for positivity. The support for Wes's family has been really something to see. So you're going to go honor, a lot of people are going to go honor Wes this afternoon.
Yeah, 100%. So I know Wes will be proud of everyone coming together for a good cause, and that is to support this family. That's one thing Wes always was, just so happy about was when people came together and understood how powerful sports can be and how it can impact other people's lives in positive ways. And this is an example of that, a tragedy that has brought a sports community together to have the back of what I think is an amazing family in the Ruckers. So, man, we're gonna go hug their necks and love up on them, and just hope they can find some comfort at some point. But I appreciate you. words can't explain how much I appreciate you during this time, and thank you, man. I wish I had more words to give you, but I just don't, man. Just a situation that just stinks.
Yep, it's awful. It's terrible. I'll close the hour with this. I was asked earlier today, hey, just talking about Wes, and one thing I thought of after that conversation was one thing I've seen people share screenshots or tell the stories of the amount of times Wes would reach out. He would reach out with words of thanks, words of encouragement. If somebody was going through a difficult time, he'd reach out to just say, hey, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Hope for the best.
Yep.
If you need anything, let me know.
Yep.
If he thought you were doing a great job, he'd reach out. He'd send you a message and say, hey, you're doing great. You're awesome. And that would take a moment, but that's something that lasts. Wes would make sure to do that. I encourage everybody to do the same. So, Swain, we'll see you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll be thinking about you. We're thinking about the Rucker family for sure this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We'll come back another hour to go. We invite you to be part of the show. 865-656-9900. Here, Rick Barnes coming up on Josh and Swain.